Hey folks, John Manzione with the Cold Open, and today we're going to be talking about temperature control and how it's going to affect your future with vaping. I'll be right back right after this. And today is Saturday morning, April 4th, I believe, April 4th, maybe. And today is not a review or anything like that. I want to talk to you about what I think is going to become a lot more popular this year among vapors, and that's called temperature control. Now, temperature control is, in the way that I am talking about today, is the actual temperature of the e-liquid that is in the tank. And there are a couple of boards on the market right now that do that. There are many more coming, and very soon, I might add. But the most I'm familiar with, the most board. I don't even know any other way to say this. The one that I am most comfortable talking about, how's that, is the Evolv DNA 40 board. This the DNA board by Evolv has been out since the 10-watt board, and has increased, you know, as wattage has got increased, and each time the board has gotten better and more stable and stuff like that. And the cool thing about this board is that it was it allowed you to set your device at a certain wattage, and it would calculate the proper voltage for whatever tank you have on there. And the good thing about that is that if you say you wanted to vape it at 30 watts, and that was your comfort zone, 30 watts, that's the amount of heat you liked in your vapor, then it doesn't matter what other tank you use on it or what the ohms were, as long as it was capable of firing at that particular ohm. It would always make the adjustment for you in the voltage, so you never had to mess with your wattage again. And that's what I liked about it. And my first experience, believe it or not, with an Evolv board was the DNA, the ZNA that I purchased last year. And right here, now if you look down here, I'm going to show it to you real quick. I paid a lot of money for this device, and I don't particularly like it very much. It failed on me a week after I got it, and I had to wind up buying another end cap for it, or top cap for it actually. And anyway, it was all right, but I found other devices that were more comfortable. But anyway, I don't. This is not a review about that. My first experience using temperature control was when I was in, well, where the hell, Tampa, at the end of February, and I decided to buy a Vaporshark as the memento of that show. And so I bought it. I did a review on it. I didn't talk about temperature control at that time because I really wanted to have a good handle on it, and so I waited. And since that time, I have since done that and experienced all kinds of ins and outs with the temperature control. And I've also added, if you can check down here again, I've also added the vapor flask, an actual genuine vapor flask, the new one that VapeRev was selling, called the Black Spot or Black Knight or Black Sight or something like that. This was also this device is 33% more than this one, and I'm not so sure it's worth it, despite the fact that you have two 1860 batteries instead of one. But maybe I'll do a review on the Vapor Flask in the next a few days or whatever. But again, this is not really a review. This is sort of an introduction for those of you who are not familiar with temperature control as it pertains to the temperature of the e-liquid. and how it benefits you and how it benefited me terrifically. My first, the first time that I bought nickel wire, if you look down here again, these Kangertech coils for the sub tank. These are replacement coils for the sub tank. These are rated at 0.15 ohm, and they are made with nickel wire. And the reason why they're made with nickel wire is because the temperature control on the Evolv boards, the Evolv 40 board, which is the first one to have temperature control, needs nickel wire in order to do that. Nickel wire has virtually no resistance whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, in order to build a coil with a high enough resistance, that is a high enough resistance that is safe to use, that a board can handle, that a battery could handle, that a vapor could handle. It takes like 13 wraps in a coil to get it up to 0.15. Now imagine that. A lot of you out there may be watching this, may build your own coils, and you know that you do a 4 or 5 wrap coil with 28 gauge, 24 gauge Kanthal, and now you would never think of wrapping 13 wraps, but with nickel wire, because of its super conductivity, I guess you could say, is it needs that many wraps to sort of slow the path of the electricity down, make several more wraps it's got to go through, so that it can raise the resistance up. Do a 4 or 5 coil wrap with nickel wire, and you have a problem. You could blow yourself up if you try to use something like that, unless you're somebody like Nick, which I'm sure Nick could probably do something that cool and get away with it. I never could. So anyway, there's 2 reasons that I can discern for wanting to use temperature control. And one of them is controlling the warmth of the vapor that you want, and also being able to get that warmth and flavor and density of your clouds without going really high up in the wattage. And the other reason you would want to use temperature control, the reason I use temperature control, is to avoid the horror that is a sub-ohm dry hit. And if you've been using a sub tank from Kanger with the 0.5 coil, or an Arctic with a 0.2 coil, or a Delta 2, or the new Hercules, or Hercules, or however you pronounce that. I look at it and I want to go Hercules spelled terribly wrong, but I think it's I don't get into that later when I review it. But all of these sub-ohm tanks really burn through e-liquid quickly, or should I say vaporize the e-liquid quickly. In my own particular case, I did a test. I ordered 10 bottles of 30 ml bottles of my all-day juice, and I kept a record of every time I had to open a new bottle. And as it turned out, I go through a 30 ml bottle every 26 to 28 hours, and that is more juice than 4 times as much juice as I used to when I was using X-Jet clearomisers and spinner 2s, which I used for a very long time. So a sub-ohm is going to burn through your juice faster anyway, and it's also going to drain your battery faster anyway. Now the problem for me with the sub-ohm dry hit is that when I am concentrating on something, when I'm either writing or editing video or reading or something like that, I'm vaping away, and I'm not paying attention to the level of juice. And because it's only been a few months that I have been into the really super fast burning or vaporizing with the sub-ohm tanks, I still haven't gotten that, you know, I bet my juice is running low thing, and I better check it. So I wind up always going past the demarcation line in these tanks, which is right above. Let me see if I can come down here. Come down here again. Right above the the e-liquid holes up here. Once it gets to that, right above that point is when you should refill. When you start to go below that hole, that's when you can start to get into trouble. And anytime you're starting to expose that hole. Come on back up here. Anytime that you begin to expose those holes, you are susceptible to a dry hit. And you know what a dry hit. If you don't know what a dry hit is with a sub-ohm, I'm sure plenty of you do. You know that it's nasty. I mean, it is. If you're not using temperature control, no matter what your juice level is, all of the wattage, all of the power that you have going to your device is going to still go to your tank, and it's going to burn. It's going to heat the coils, regardless of whether you have juice there or not. It's going to vaporize whatever's left on the cotton, no matter if the cotton is semi-dry or saturated. So what you get is a very, very hot blast in your mouth and the horrible taste of burnt cotton. And it's a very ugly situation to be in. So, so using temperature control practically eliminates, I'd say virtually eliminates dry hits, because when your the Evolv DNA 40 board has built-in sensors in the board, and it detects when your juice is too low, and it detects when your coils are not properly saturated in juice, and if it finds that it is, it doesn't shut your device down, but what it does is it doesn't heat the coils, so you can still take a hit from your tank, and you just won't get any vapor, and you won't get any heat because it's not heating up. Which is brilliant. I love that. But the one drawback right now, which I hope is rectified soon, is the now come back down here again, is that the temperature control needs nickel wire or Ni200 wire in order to detect the temperature. Now, and these here are made by Kangertech, and they are replacement coils for all of the sub-tanks. They are rated at 0.15, and they are very expensive at this point. I got this from Vaporshark, and there were five coils in this pack, and this was $18.95, which I think is ridiculous, but and hopefully they will go down, because Avenue 40 is beginning to stock this, and you know them, their prices will be a lot lower than the $18.95. So any vendors or vape shop out there that are looking for a way to carry these coils, you will very soon have a way to do that through Avenue 40. But anyway. Nickel wire, come back up here. Nickel wire has virtually no resistance. No voltage drop off. I mean, what goes through it, what goes through at the beginning, comes out at the end. And I'm not gonna say 100%, but probably 99.99%. So, in order to build a coil that will give you a super low ohm, yet still be safe to use, and say 0.15, takes 13 wraps on a coil. Excuse me, I had a little bit of a thing. I had to restart my my stupid camera. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about, the 13 wraps business. If you were going to wrap your own coils, I mean, you know, look, I say 13, I mean, you know, roughly 13, and and depending on what you want to do. So, you know, you're going to find, it depends on what you want. You know what I mean? So sometimes it'll be 13 reps, sometimes it'll be less. I did not mean to say that 13 reps is the done deal. It's just not. So it depends on what you want to do and what they're being used for. Now, where I left off, forget where I left off, because right now we're going to move into showing you what the deal is. Now, I have down here, if you come down here, I have the Vaporshark RDNA, and I have the Vapor Flask, and I'm leaving the Vapor Flask in regular mode, and I'm running an Arctic tank on there. And with the Vaporshark, and the only reason I'm doing that, folks, is because the Vaporshark has a much larger display screen. And as you can see, I have it up to 39.9 watts, and I set my temperature at 500 degrees. Now, how did I get there? If you come back up here, this is how you get there. And I will put these, I will put this on the screen left or right of me. The first thing you do is, after you have your coil, after you have your tank attached, is you click on the firing pin 5 times in order to lock it. Once it's in the lock mode, then you take your fingers or finger and hold the plus and minus. Well, maybe I'll do it down here. Let's come down here and see if I can do it down here. You click your fire button 5 times real fast, doop, 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 like that, and then that locks the device. It locks your wattage in. So here's a little hint. Get the wattage where you want it, and I very much suggest maxing it out. And so you lock it in, and then you press the plus and minus buttons down at the same time, and immediately upon doing that, you will see a message come up that says hold to change temperature. Now, not only do you hold that to change your temperature, but you hold it to get into the temperature mode as well. And once you're into it, you press your up or down button and select your temperature. Now, what I'm doing for my maximum VG juice that I'm using, I'm going up to the 40 watts, or actually 39.9, and I'm starting at 500 degrees. And come back up here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want warm vapor, and I want maximum flavor, and I don't want to overload anything. Now, naturally, burning at 40 watts and at 500 degrees with a 0.15 coil, you're going to burn juice and discharge your battery faster than being in the plus 1 ohm territory. So knowing that going in, but the trade-off on that, to me, is very much worth it. One, it doesn't matter how much juice you have in your tank. You're not going to get a dry burn, because once it reaches that low point where the coils are no longer saturated in juice, it is not going to put out any heat to your coils, so you're never going to have a dry burn again. So anyway, let's give it a vape. And this has been recently filled up, and just like the other sub-ohm sub-ohm coils from Kanger, I've applied a few drops inside and so forth and so on, but let's give it a go, all right? And this is set at 500 degrees, 40 watts, and at 0.15. That is absolutely amazing. It's so the vapor is so nice, and the taste, the flavor coming out of this sub tank now rivals that of the Arctic. If you remember in my Arctic review, I told you that the Arctic .2 coil took that juice that I use every day, all day, and it squeezed out even more flavor than I was used to. It creates a really super rich, just deep flavor. So now I'm getting the same thing with the sub tank, and the only difference is I'm using a different coil. I'm using the nickel wire coil, but at least I am now getting that type of flavor from this that I've got in the Arctic. And I'll do a long hit, and we'll see. I'll let you see how much vapor this thing can produce at 500 degrees. Then we'll try to raise the temperature up and see what we can do. That is so cool. Absolutely so cool. So let's power locked, hold up or down. And we're going to go up to 540, 550, 560. Let's try 570. 570 at the full 40 watts, guys. All right, so let's check that out. And after you set the temperature, you've got to click it again 5 times to get it unlocked so you can start vaping again. Listen to this. That's the juice burning. Super warm vapor this time. The flavor is still excellent. It's still rich. It's still smooth. And it is, I mean, it's absolutely delicious. I think maybe, I went up to 570 and then I just stopped. I should have, I was taking my time. I probably would have went to 550 and stopped. But like I said, anywhere between 450 and 600, you're going to be okay. If you try to go past 600, it shuts the temperature control off. Which is a quick way to get out of it, I guess. But this 570 is still a delicious vape for me. It's a warm vape for me using the juice that I'm using. Now, if you are using a 50-50 juice or any kind of different ratio rather than an 85-90% VG kind of thing, then of course your vape is going to be different. Now, let me tell you why I prefer vaping with these coils and why I was thrilled to death when Jack told me that that Avenue 40 was going to vape. Yeah, that's it. They were going to vape. They were going to stock the, come down here, they were going to stock the Kanger OCC replacement coils made with nickel wire. And they are rated at 0.15. As you can see, this has got its own barcode. It's got its own directions. This is a legitimate product. They're not homemade. They're made by Kanger, and they are fantastic. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of break, and I'm going to show you a little bit of Smoke and Joey's commercial. And when I come back, I'm going to show you the inside of one of these coils. Yeah, I'm going to wreck one of these coils so you can see. I'll be right back. Well, let me tell you something. Taking one of these Kangertech OCC coils apart is not that easy to do, and the easiest way to do it, if you come down here, is just pull off the bottom. Now you're never going to use this again, so just pull out the bottom and do it that way. This is, and let me see if I can get this up here, and hopefully it will focus. Yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, maybe. Let's see if I can get it sharper. Come on, there you go. All right, so see that blue ring on a regular OCC half ohm, 1.2 ohm? That's red, and so you can instantly recognize that this is going to be a nickel wire coil by the blue O-ring. Now the when I open this, the coils here, which kind of surprised me, they were very, very close together, and I actually did not expect that. Because nickel needs a little. You really shouldn't have to compress your coil wraps as tightly with nickel, but in this case, it pretty much was. But they're just a single coil, and this has 7 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7, maybe it's 8. I don't know. My eyesight's not that great. What do you say here? Okay, so, and then you've got this nice little piece of cotton here, which looks to be, if I remember correctly, when I took a half ohm apart, it looked like there was a little bit more cotton than this. But I can't swear to it, and I'm not about ready to rip open another coil because they're not cheap, especially these, when you pay retail. So anyway, come back over here. Come back up top. So these they look like regular coils. They act like regular coils, and they're just made with nickel wire. That's all. And the DNA 40 board allows you to control the temperature of the e-liquid when you're using nickel wire. So anyway, let's wrap this up here. The Evolv DNA 40 board is also, if you come back down here, is also found in the Vapor Flask. And however, I think the latest DNA 40 board is the 40D. And the 40D, come back up here, the 40D, as I understand it, they call it dual Celsius. This is able to change the temperature readout from centigrade Fahrenheit to Celsius, and back and forth. And it also is the first one to feature temperature control at all. And it also has the larger display readout. Now, the funny thing is that that's not funny, but I mean, for those of you who might not know, the DNA 40 board is available to anyone. The DNA 40 board is $49.99. The DNA 40D board is $59.99. The board itself doesn't look like it comes with the display, but I think it will run that larger display, and I think that's what they mean. I could be wrong, but I think they mean. So anyone can build a DNA just by buying the board and using that board in the device that they build. So a Vaporshark RDNA is an authentic device. Let's come back down here again. It's an authentic device. It's not a clone because this has been designed by Vaporshark around the DNA 40 board. And it's the same with the Vapor Flask. This is an authentic Vapor Flask. Costs $325. And I know that there's a lot of clones on the market that sell for $50, and but this board is this device is built around the DNA 40 board as well, and the design and the choice of materials are all Vapor Flask, and that's all I can say. I don't have a clone, and I'm not gonna justify the devices that are clones of these, just to see if they are made of the same quality and so forth like that, or if they even own, or even if they run an authentic Evolv board in them. I may do that at some point, but right now, right, I guess maybe that would be with a Vaporshark. I mean, a Vapor Flask review or something. I don't know. It's not right. It's not for now. And but these devices here run with that board, and the come back up here. The authenticness of the devices are everything that is designed and put together around that board, and I think that both Vaporshark and Vapor Flask did a good job with their devices. I like both of them. I'm glad I bought both of them at full retail, although I would have preferred wholesale, but you know, what are you going to do? But you know, I'm glad I have them. And the last thing I'll say about temperature control is that the way that Evolv has done it is they have patented that way of doing it, but it doesn't mean that it is the only way to control it. The Pioneer for You IPv4 that is coming out very, very soon, and we will have a couple of them here. They use a new board called the SX350J. It also has temperature control, and a couple of other mainstream Chinese manufacturers, which I won't say now, they're building their own temperature control devices. So it's going to be with us. What they need to do is they need to find a way to use temperature control without nickel wire, or they need to find a way to bring the cost of the nickel wire coils down and make them widely available, which I think Avenue 40 is helping with, because they are buying so many of them, and they will ship them out to any vendor that wants to stock them. So that is a move in the right direction. And once it is out there, once more devices, less expensive devices, mainstream devices have temperature control, then everyone will be able to enjoy these features. Dry hits will be a thing of the past, and vaping will take another huge step forward. I believe that, and I have faith that we're going to see any obstacles overcome, and so forth and so on. Now, I wrote a piece over the weekend for our knowledge base on Spinfuel.com, and we're beginning to put a lot of resources into our knowledge base, and we will continue to do so. And the paper that I wrote was for temperature control. But I thought it would be nice just to create a video to go with it, to be able to show what I was talking about in the paper that I wrote. So check that out at spinfuel.com. Go to the menu, click on knowledge base, and you will see what we have there: battery safety, ohms calculator, battery chart. I mean, we're building it out, and you'll see it for under temperature control. And so that's it. I will be back later on. Hopefully today I'll have a couple more videos coming out, and I've got a lot of reviews to do. In addition to the Vapor Flask, which I would like to do, is the new Hercules, whatever. I don't know these things. And get that review done. And got so much stuff sitting around here that we haven't done yet, including some really brand new Nicor chargers that have been working for me fantastically. I love them. I want to get into those. A couple more mods. The Aspire ESP, a couple more Aspire products, the Atlantis Mega, the Kangertech Subtank Plus or V2. There's some improvements in there besides the amount of liquid and so forth and so on. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. If you stuck with me for the whole 35 or 40 minutes, I truly appreciate it. I hope you will subscribe, comment and subscribe, as they say. and be looking for a magnificent giveaway coming very soon. And remember, as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away that Provari 3 or any device that is up to that value of a Provari 3. So, you know, hey, it could be a Vaporshark. You know what I mean? You might want one of these. So if that's the case, that's it. I will see you in a few days. Thanks, folks. Bye.